The truth about being able to buy multiple properties with less than 10% down. Now, a lot of people have this limiting belief that in order to buy real estate, they got to do 20% down. Personally, I've only done that like once in my life. Out of all the properties I own, and I own just about $10 million worth of real estate, completely separate from my arbitrage and from my co-hosting. And I've been able to buy most of these properties with less than 10%. So you might be saying, Jorge, how are you able to do that? And why would you do that? Isn't your mortgage payment going to be higher? But here's the thing. People that want to put a larger down payment in order to have a lower monthly payment, I believe, don't truly understand how money works. Because why would you buy one property with 20% down when you can buy 4 properties with 5% down? And in 10 years, you'll have 4 times the equity, 4 times the net worth from those 4 properties. For the whole time, you'll have 4 times the cash flow, 4 times the mortgage paid down, 4 times the cost segregation. Like, leverage is the name of the game. The more properties you can have, the richer you can get. Now, there is such a thing as over leveraging, and you definitely don't want to over leverage, because that's how people lost their butts out in 2008, is they were over leveraged. They ended up with properties that were worth less than what they owed. So there is value to that. You do want to make sure that you don't overdo it and don't over leverage yourself. So let's talk about how I've been able to do this successfully. When you go, first of all, to buy a property and you're going to get pre-qualified, don't go to Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo or any of those big institutions, those big banks. You want to go to a mortgage broker that has more options and more flexibility. And here's how it works. Imagine that you are living and working in this city. And let's say this is another city, this is another city, and this is another city. And let's assume that each city is about 30 minutes away. So from here to number 4, it's 2 hours away, right? 30, 30, 30, 30. You work and live here in this city. If you buy your first property 2 hours away, assuming this is a better area, but you don't qualify today to buy in this city because purchase prices are higher, which means higher purchasing power. You don't have the debt to income ratio to buy real estate. But out here in the outskirts, 2 hours away, you can afford it because properties here are $800,000 and over here they're like $500,000. So you buy the first property over here and you actually live in the property. You buy it with 5% down. And then 12 months later, during that time, you got a raise. You can afford to buy a bigger property in a better area and you move closer to work, 1 city over. And you buy your second property in 12 months with 5% down. So you got a bigger house in a better location, closer to work. Guess what? In 12 months, you do the exact same thing. And in 12 months, you do the exact same thing. 2 years later, you own 4 properties. You're living as close as possible to your work with the 4 or 5 bedroom house, a bigger property. The properties got bigger. The locations got better. Your family's expanding. Now you got 14 kids. Just kidding. 4 kids. Point is as long as you're moving closer to work, to a better location, to a bigger property, as long as that story makes sense and you're working with a mortgage broker, you can do this all day long. This is a legitimate reason. You couldn't afford to do that in the first place. So now you own 4 properties with 20% down. Now, let's say 10, 15 years go by and those properties that you bought at an average of 600,000 times 4, 2.4 million, now they might be worth closer to 5 million. 10 to 15 years later, right? So you're automatically a multi-millionaire just by owning those properties over the next 10 to 15 years. And that is how wealth is created, is by focusing on the long-term vision. I don't do anything short-term. Like, I don't focus on my marriage on the short-term, only short-term. I don't focus on my health goals, only short-term. I don't focus on my money, only short-term. Everything that I do is with a long-term vision. My health, my relationships, my marriage, my money, my dinero, my investments, everything is long-term. Where am I going to be at in 10, 15, 20 years? That's just the value. We're not even talking about cash flow. Imagine all these properties after you move out, right? So you moved out of the first one and you're living in the second one, and now you Airbnb the first one. Once you move from the second one to the third one, you continue to Airbnb the first one. And next thing you know is you got 3 Airbnbs and you're living on the 4th one. Now you got the cash flow, the appreciation, the depreciation, the mortgage paid down, the tax benefits. You got the best of all the worlds, and you were able to do it all with less than 20% down. So by implementing that strategy that I just covered, buying multiple properties with owner-occupied financing, living in the properties for 12 months, which is the requirement, and then Airbnb in it after. Now, yes, you would have to make sure that all those cities allow Airbnb, so you would strategically do that. And there you have it. So let me know what you guys think about this video. I'd love to see your comments down below. Check out the links in the description. Make sure you guys like this video and check out one of the other ones. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.